for Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. Obviously, things have changed under him. How far back do you go with your research on him? Whether it's 49ers, Stanford, whatever. What have you learned from those games?
Yeah, both.
Or how do you study them?
49ers and Stanford, and we've got Florida for defensive stuff, Jacksonville, Jaguars where the coordinator was at, and John Baxter, who's an outstanding special teams coach, USC. So it's just a hodgepodge of 5, 6, 7 different places that we've formed a best guess scenario, and that's what an opener is anyways, best guess scenario. You never know, even when you got a returning staff, there's still changes that can be made in the offseason and different schematics. But when you have a new staff, anything really is in the realms of possibilities. But we feel like we've got a general idea of what to expect. You try to expose your players to virtually everything you think they might see during fall camp. Build a game plan that will be able to accommodate all the possibilities. But I'll tell you, a key is in-game adjustments. After the second, third series, and you get a feel for what they're trying to do and what their MO is. You can't wait till halftime. You got to adjust in-game on the sidelines and get those adjustments down so you can make corrections and give people any changes in structure or anything you need to do to make sure you're doing things right. So that'll be a huge part of determining the outcome of the game is which team is better able to make those. And we probably have a bigger challenge in that than they do because we haven't changed a whole lot of schematic.
What are the other keys based on what you've seen to beating this Michigan team?
Well, our guys playing hard, relentless. In openers, you're going to make some mistakes first game out. The old adage is you improve most from game 1 to game 2 because game 1 there's a lot of guys that are playing their first Division I game and mistakes can be made. But if you have max effort, you can cover up those mistakes. Hustle will cover up a lot of things you're not doing right and allow you to continue to have success. One of those 6 or 7 schools and programs, teams that we have taken a look at. A good quarterback. He does a lot of good things, and we're anticipating that we may see them both. But, what you hear, it looks like maybe he's maybe the lead guy to be the starter, but you never know that for sure. But again, we'll just have to adjust. And there's not a big scheme adjustment you use for whichever one's the guy. It's not like they're radically different from each other, and so it doesn't really have a huge bearing on the game which one starts. At least the preparation.
Is it an advantage for Michigan that they didn't address media for a few weeks and you have all these unknowns with them compared to your team where there's not really a whole lot of unknowns at this moment as far as the depth chart is concerned, right?
Yeah, I think that still you can release a depth chart and it can be inaccurate. I mean, there's a lot of things, and so I don't know how much we don't put any stock in the depth chart really. And once the season starts, all your work you don't even glance at it. You look at the film, to see who's playing, who's doing what. But I don't think that there's so many unknowns whether they're talking to the media or not. I mean, we had the spring game from Michigan, which gives us a little bit of an idea of what we may expect. But I don't know that going completely silent has a huge impact. But any little thing helps, and if they felt that is a benefit, just like us in injuries, we just feel like we can keep that in-house and why tip your opponent if you don't have to. And you say, well, this little thing and that's a little thing. Well, you take several little things and it ends up being a pretty big thing.
This big name venues and all that stuff. With that in mind, does that make it a little bit more for the players to be even keeled? It's a big game, but you've already played so many big games.
Without question, and our guys have played, the Pac-12 schedule now for 4 years. We've been to Autzen, we've been to the Rose Bowl, we've been to the Coliseum, we've been to the Big House, and so I think our guys now handle games. There is really no big game. Every game's a big game in this conference and with our schedule. And so I feel like our guys are very battle tested and been exposed to enough big time atmospheres and hostile crowds and this and all that we're going to have it might be the single biggest crowd in Rice Eccles history of the stadium that might. We're hoping for that. And so our guys will feed off that. Should be a big advantage for us. But as far as that goes, no, I don't think that. I think our guys line up just fine.
Style, power run game. Do you feel like this matchup favors you going forward?
Well, we hope that we're physical enough to stand up to it. We usually are, most weeks, physical enough to handle whatever people throw at us. But it's been so many years now where the pro-style attack has just diminished. It's almost like our guys are not used to playing anymore. It's in fact, last year was the first year we base out of a 43 defense, and last year was the first year that the majority of the snaps were not out of base defense. They were out of nickel package, and some of the sub-packages. And so each year, it seems like you see it less and less. And, but hopefully, we have guys still in the program that have been on the team that played against that 4 or 5 years ago. Jared, when you first got here, there was more teams doing that. So to answer your question, we feel like we're a physical team, and we have matched up, as you mentioned, well against those attacks. But they're so few and far between. We just hope to continue.
What have you been able to piece together about their front seven, number one, and also same question about Jabril Peppers?
Well, Pepper's a good player. I know they missed him last year when he got hurt. He also will probably do some punt returning for him, kickoff returning possibly. But as I mentioned, the coordinators from Florida, maybe I didn't remember, was that the Crimson Club I mentioned that? I can't remember what speeches or what. But anyways, Florida, what you saw, if you watched Florida all last year, that's going to be a big influence on what they do in the field this year, which was mixing the odd and even front, a lot of middle close, secondary stuff instead of 2 high safety, single high safety, pressure in the red zone, 0 blitzes in the red zone, just things that aren't really that out of the ordinary. But we've been putting stock in what Florida did last year, obviously, and then of course watching Michigan tape for personnel matchups, just the guys that they have returned.